The verse for the day is Proverbs 21, and it says, "Wine produces mockers, alcohol leads to brawls. Those led astray by drink cannot be wise." Now, before all of y'all come for me, let's break this down. And the reason why I'm smiling is because I've seen this verse so clear as day in my life. For those of you that don't know, I'm currently 10 months sober. I came from the party girl life in high school and early college years and used alcohol as a means to feel like I could be my best self, that I could say the right things or be my most confident. And when I met Jesus, God actually used my reasoning to drink in the first place and flipped it upside down. So post Jesus, even casually drinking caused myself to shrink because my best self was my sober self. And no joke, you guys, I decided to be sober last April. Between April and now, I've never felt more free in my entire life. I've never had more clarity about who God is, about who God created me to be, about confidence in myself. I've never felt more in tune with the Holy Spirit and being able to pick up what God is trying to tell me. And I wholeheartedly, without a doubt, give all the credit to God first and foremost, but to his leading me to stop drinking and to be completely sober. I think my story with drinking is a perfect example of how the devil will use something to destroy your life and get you to believe a lie and get you to fall into addiction and believe that you're less than who God created you to be. And God, once you come to know him, he'll use the very thing that you were dependent on as something that actually makes you feel like a hindrance to you because Jesus has fully satisfied your soul. I want to give a disclaimer because obviously my past isn't yours. We all have different stories, different traumas, different insecurities, different temptations. And so my trauma with alcohol in the past is not going to be the same for everyone else. So that's why you need discernment. You need to be able to discern, okay, what does alcohol do for me? Today's verse quite literally says, "Those led astray by drink cannot be wise." And I have seen that play out so clear in my life. I was capping my ability to hear from God. I was capping my ability to be confident in who God created me to be and to be able to be in tune with what God is saying, which is how you get wisdom. Alcohol leads to so many issues. When I was in high school, anytime there was an argument with friends or conflict or trouble or stress, anxiety, worry, most often it came from those situations when I was drinking too much. And when you are drinking too much, you get out of your right mind. How do you hear God? Being in your right mind. How do you listen to the Holy Spirit? Being filled with the Holy Spirit and not alcohol. So alcohol, if you get to a point where it's taking control of your mind and you're doing things that you wouldn't do sober, that means you're not going to be very in tune with the Holy Spirit because your mind isn't in its right place. And so if you want to learn how to be so spirit-led and so in tune with God's voice, it's learning how to be completely confident in the sober state that he created you to be in. And that's not to say you can't ever drink, because I think there are tons of people who can drink casually and be okay and manage that well. You have to be honest with yourself. Does this substance take me away from my best self? Does it make me doubt myself? Does it make me do things I don't want to do? Does it make me feel like I don't hear God's voice well? Does it lead me away from God, or does it help push me closer to him? It's all about self-control. Do you have self-control? Because one of the fruits of the Spirit is self-control. And so if you don't have self-control in an area of your life, that means that you probably have an issue there, because God doesn't want you to be out of control or controlled by whatever it is you don't have self-control in, because that by default is being chained, right? You're being controlled by this thing rather than you having authority and control over the things in your life with God. I just want to give you a very clear example of what can happen when you fully are obedient and you choose to get rid of substance abuse or things that might be hindering your ability to thrive. And alcohol does that to a lot of people. It creates so much anxiety for people. It steals people's time because you wake up hungover and you honestly, a lot of the times are trying to get a need met that God can fill. And so sometimes we're trying to escape from feelings when maybe you need to face those feelings, and God can heal that place in your heart, and then you can start to move forward and grow and thrive. Where if you just continue to mask feelings and hide from feelings, you're going to stay stuck. You're not going to keep progressing and keep growing. Other times it might be you wanting to avoid feeling insecure or feeling awkward. And again, any feeling that's uncomfortable, God can use for good, because it's really in those uncomfortable moments that you grow and you start to be big and confident and in the original design that God created you to be. And I've seen that firsthand in my life. Since I stopped drinking, I have seen the confidence and the growth, and having to go through a lot of uncomfortable moments because it's such a cultural thing, right? Everyone socially drinks, so you have to learn how to carry your own, and it's actually the most beautiful thing if you get through it and you persevere and learn how to really own yourself in any and every situation. Going back to like just a really clear example of what can happen when you fully are obedient if God is leading you to stop drinking. The Jesus challenge came once I decided to be sober. I believe so much of what God has given me this year is because of that obedience that I did. And there has been so much fruit because it almost showed God, okay, I can trust her, that she's now really locked in with my presence. She's now so locked in with the Holy Spirit and in her right mind that I can talk to her all day long. And she's paying attention because she's not being distracted, and her time isn't being taken from her, and she's not waking up hungover. And it's redeemed and restored so much in my life. Again, I think it's important to know your own conviction, right? To know what alcohol does for you or what it doesn't do for you. And it's not about you're wrong if you drink. It's about what does it do to your spirit, and following, okay, I want to be the best version of me. I want to be the best version that God has created me to be, and I want to hear his voice. And so taking an assessment in any area of your life, what do the things you're engaging in and choosing to do for you? Do they make you come alive, or do they shrink your spirit? That's something you can only answer, and something God can only stir up in you. So I would challenge you to take an assessment. What does alcohol do for me? Do I have past trauma that has caused me to shrink when I drink, or is it making me do things that I don't want to do? Take an assessment, because when you're fully spirit-led and it's just you and you're just in the freeness of your spirit, it's the most liberating feeling in the world. Okay?